So now the Terraform videos that we'll have in this edition 2024 are new. We already have them here. So if you go to this week one, we should rename this to module, not week. Then there are videos about Terraform and here. So is it? Yeah. So we have new videos about Terraform. And the videos are really good. It's a good improvement over what we had. But of course, the old videos are still there. If you want to get another perspective, then check them out too. What's the level of proficiency is the baseline in Python SQL to be able to succeed with the content of this course? Self-taught around 1 year. Well, if you have created a program in Python, it's enough. Like if you know what if is, like how to write a for loop, you know, how to install Python. What else? Like how to install packages. That's enough. Like you don't need to know the memory model of Python, how it executes code. Like you don't have to be, like, you know, how garbage collector works there. Like you just need to know the basics. That's enough. SQL also, like if you know how to write a join, that's enough, right? How to write a group by. We assume that you already know how to write a join, how to write group by, but there will be a refresher, small refresher, so then you can also revise it. Yeah, one thing is maybe one piece of advice is try to install Docker right now, right? So this is, we assumed that for people it would be, they would already have Docker installed, and we would just give an introduction, and for many it will be just reiterating of what they already know, but it turned out to be the most difficult module with Docker. So now, if you watch this now, we still have like almost 1 month. So try to install Docker within this 1 month, especially if you're on Windows. Because installing Docker on Linux is just a few lines of code. On Mac, I don't know. I also remember people reporting some problems about that. But on Windows, yeah, it's not simple. So please install Docker right now. I think I answered that question. Can the result project, like the question is if you can use projects that come out that you have at the end in personal portfolio? Yes, and actually this is the intention. So we want you to use the projects you come up with, the projects you do for the course as your portfolio projects. So then you can use these projects when looking for a job. And when creating these projects, you should think of like who will be the person who is reading this project, who is reading the README, who is trying to make sense of the code. And we want you to think that the target reader is a potential employer, not only your peer who will review the project, but also a potential employer. So you need to explain what the project is about. You might need to make sure that this is reproducible. You need to include screenshots. You need to make it really clear what the project is about for the potential employer, because we want you to use this project to be able to land a good job. A question from Ben: will there be any learning of Apache Airflow? Yeah, so there are videos from 2-3 years ago, like from the very first iteration with Airflow. And you can check them and you can use them. But with Airflow, we had so many problems. Like if we look at the modules we had in the first iteration, the biggest source of problems, probably it was the Airflow module. It was the biggest source of problem. Oh, Docker, I don't remember. So Docker now is still the biggest source of problem, but like in the first edition, I don't remember which one gave more troubles. And the reason for that is Airflow is quite resource intensive. So yeah, so we don't really want to go there with Airflow. You're free to learn it yourself. You don't, like, all the modules we have in the course are optional. You don't have to do them. You can do them if you want, but you don't have to. Like, you can choose to use Airflow instead of Mage. You can choose Prefect instead of Mage. You can choose Duckster. You can choose Luigi. You can choose whatever you want. And in the project, you can also use any orchestrator you want, as long as you use an orchestrator. Like, for using an orchestrator, you get points, and you need to get a certain amount of points to pass the project, right? So in the criteria, we don't specify which orchestrator you use. You can use anything you want. Well, so might as well be Airflow. But when it comes to supporting Airflow, it's kind of I don't want to do that, to be honest, like, because it gave so many troubles, so much trouble. So you can count on other fellow students, and usually the community is quite welcoming and people help each other. So if somebody is also learning Airflow, they will of course help you. And so yes, probably if you decide to go with Airflow, you will get the support you want. But yeah, be ready to how to say, like, it can be not the easiest thing to do, but all the content is there. Feel free to use it. Ben, another question from Ben. Can you speak briefly about your perspectives on where you see the data engineering profession going in the next 2 to 5 years? Hard to say. So I see that, so when we started with the data engineering course, dbt was getting popularity, and we included dbt in the analytics engineering module. And now I see that more and more companies use dbt. So I think it's a very nice thing to learn, because I think more and more companies will adopt that. And then I see tools like Fivetran. Like, this is tools for loading data in the data warehouse. Fivetran, Airbyte, also DLT that we will cover. So they're getting more and more popular. So yeah, I think that maybe there will be shift towards making the tools easier. So for example, now Mage is more powerful, more lightweight than Airflow. And I think like the other tools will kind of follow. So we'll have easier, more lightweight alternatives to heavier tools we have. Yeah, that's what I see. I don't work in data engineering right now. So my main activity is managing this community right now, managing all the courses. So I'm not hands-on anymore as I used to be. So for me, I have only limited view of what is really happening in data engineering right now. Only by talking to people, I see that, but not like, it's not first-hand experience, let's say. Do we need to have experience using and installing the tech stack, for example, Docker? Ideally, yes, because like, for example, if you have Windows and you need to install Docker, there are so many things that could go wrong. You need to be able to debug, to make sense of the errors, and Google or use your favorite search engine to solve these problems yourself. So you need to have experience in that, not necessarily installing Docker, but not being afraid to go and find a solution on your own somewhere on the internet, to ChatGPT or whatever. That's a very important skill that you need to get if you don't have it yet. And you need to have, ideally, you should have experience in that. If not, well, hopefully you will you will start learning this in this course. And I see that there is an interesting discussion in the live chat. So Mage is the orchestrator. Remember, it's about the concept, not the tool. So I think it's a very good comment. Again, therefore, come on. It's a very good comment. Like, you need to think, okay, yes, there is Mage, there is Prefect, there is Airflow, there is Daxter, there is Luigi, there is, I don't know, what knows what. Like, there are so many tools out there. But the problem all these tools solve is the same, right? And when you join a company, there could be an orchestrator that nobody else uses because this is an orchestrator they wrote, they created themselves. But still, like, you can use it because you know the concepts. Okay, I'm regressing a little bit, but so like when it comes to this command, what we also have that will help you is if you go to the very first module, basics and setup. I don't know why it's called that. Docker. Yeah, we assume that Docker Terraform is just basics and everyone is just fine with that. So naive. Anyways, so there's basics, which is Docker and Terraform, right? And then there is setup part, right? And when it comes to setup, there is this video, setting up the environment on Cloud VM, which tells you how to install everything you need for the course. You might need to install more up-to-date versions. So like, for example, when I install Python, you should go for 3.10. Like newer version of Terraform. But the concept is the same. So you can follow this video and set up a machine, virtual machine, that you can use that is like 100% ready for being used in the course. So yeah. So for that, you need to have experience watching tutorials and following along. Yes. As someone who has already more or less finished the bootcamp in self-paced mode, what additional benefits would I potentially reap? What does reap mean? Take from taking it live? Yeah, so a certificate, I guess. Like, that's it. Not much. I mean, yes, we will have 2 new tools, or even 3, like Mage, then the 2 workshops, right? So you can learn them too. But actually, like, if you already finished the course, yeah, you don't need to take it one more time. So what you can do is, if you really want to have the certificate, if it's important for you, what you can do is, I assume you have finished, by finishing the bootcamp, you mean you also did the project, right? So if you did the project, if you completed the project, what you can do is submit this project at the end of the course, and then this project will be peer reviewed. You will also review your peers, and then you will pass the project, hopefully, because I assume you did already have done a great job making the project, and you will just get the certificate. So that's the additional benefit. Prerequisites for the bootcamp. I will show you how to find the answer. I will not tell you the answer. I will just show you how to find it. So you go to this page, the GitHub repo. You hit Control F and write prerequisite. Oops. Yeah. That's the answer. You can look at it later. I don't want to read it. What new tools and concepts will be taught from last year cohort? I think I have answered that question. But basically, like, the content stays the same, except a few things change. Yeah. What level of Pythons do we need? Do we need to understand OOP programming? No, I don't think you need to know OOP in depth. No. I mean, it's helpful, but for this course. Another question from Ben. I'm a data scientist encountering data engineering problems in my work, but my company has no data engineers. is there support for mentorship in this community? So it depends on what you mean by mentorship. So in the community, you can always ask questions. So there is a channel called engineering. And if you have an engineering problem, you can always go and ask this question. So for example, I don't know, I use Airflow and my DAG fails. And this is the stack trace I get. Like, I have no clue what's happening. You can just go and ask that and people will hopefully help. Yeah, so this is the kind of support we can offer as a community. So people help each other. And if somebody knows how to solve the problem, they will help you. If nobody knows, then yeah. Yeah, it's not like somebody is watching there and will try to figure out the problem together with you. It also depends like on time, free time people have. But there's that. Yeah. Or if you want to find somebody who will support you as perhaps a freelancer, then we have the jobs channel too. I'm curious, why delete? To give back that and educate more people. And also, like if we talk about the business model, because we as a community, and I am working, it's my main activity managing this community, I need money to live, right? So for me, the community is also the source of income. And the business model is you join the course for free. So it's very easy to attract people who join the course for free, because like for you, it doesn't cost anything. And we earn money by advertisement. So we have a newsletter. And when you join the community, you also join the newsletter, which you can unsubscribe from. But you join the community, you end up in the newsletter, and then there is a sponsored content, let's say, from our sponsors. So yeah, we managed to deliver to give you the course for free and then still make money. So I guess it's what to say. Like, I'm really happy that we found a way to do that. Because I really like teaching, I really like educating people, and there is a way to earn money from that too. So I don't know what you wanted to hear. I hope I answered the question. Does it cost to use BigQuery, or it is under free usage limit? Can I use AWS to complete this bootcamp rather than GCP? So BigQuery is not free. Yes, it does cost to use BigQuery. But when you sign up for GCP, you can sign up for the free trial, so you get $300 that you can use for 3 months. And it covers pretty much everything. Like, it's very difficult to spend this $300 in 3 months. Very difficult. So in this sense, it doesn't cost you anything. All you need to have is a valid card, a bank card, like credit card, debit card, whatever, valid bank card that you can use when you sign up. So they want to make sure that you're a human. So you need to have a valid bank card to sign up and then get free credit, but they never charge you that card unless the trial is over, and then you can say, okay, now I want to use the Google Cloud services not for free, and they start charging you, right? The other part of the question is, can I use AWS to complete the bootcamp rather than GCP? Yes, you can, and there are students who have done that. However, we do not really support AWS in this course. So, like, if multiple people who do that, you can help each other. But with GCP, you have higher chances to get help, like if something doesn't work. Right? With AWS, it could be tricky sometimes. And also, so when we were deciding to go with GCP, The main reason was this free credits, but also for dbt, one of the tools we use, it had very good integration with BigQuery, while there are similar tools in the AWS, and the integration there wasn't that good. So I don't know now these days if AWS, if dbt works well with Redshift or Athena. Yeah, well, you can use AWS, yeah, but it depends on what you want. So there are a lot of materials online. I'm sure you'll find what you need, and it's possible, definitely possible, to complete the course with AWS. Why Rising Wave instead of Kafka? So I did not say instead. It's in addition. So Kafka stays there. So the module stays there. It's just in addition to that, we will see how to use Rising Wave. So what Rising Wave gives you is the ability to use SQL to query your streams, which can be Kafka, Pulsar, Kinesis, I guess. Yeah. So we're not going to replace it. It will be a workshop that will happen in addition to the main module. Is it okay to use Windows? Yes, it is okay. Linux will work better, but I'm on Windows. It works fine. It's okay. Like, you just need to expect some difficulties at the end or at the beginning when you set things up. Yeah, so like installing Docker, I spent a few days, I think 1 or 2 days, installing Docker, because I needed to like enable so many things. And then my license, actually my Windows license, did not allow to install Docker. I think I have Windows Home, not Windows Pro. Then I needed to find a way to bypass that. So it was quite let's say, an adventure. So you need to be ready to do that if you're in Windows. So I would recommend, actually, like, the easiest way is just to rent a virtual machine that you connect to from your Windows machine to a Linux machine using SSH. And then you just do everything on that remote machine from your Windows machine. Will there be live sessions? Yes, occasionally, not every week. So at the beginning, when we started, we had them every week, but now there's already so much content. It doesn't make sense to repeat the same things and answer the same questions over and over again. So instead of doing live sessions every week, we just refer to FAQ document and to the previous office hours. There will be a few live sessions with questions and answers at the beginning, then in the middle of the course, and then before the projects, probably. So probably 3. And also there will be these workshops. So workshops will be live sessions too. What should we do until 8th of January to be prepared? So just check the course content and try to start with week 1, with module 1. Install Docker. Try to set up the environment, because we thought it would be super easy, but it was the biggest source of problems. So try to prepare the environment now. And then, depending on which prerequisites you miss, you might see how you can. So let's say if you're not comfortable working with terminal, with command line, you probably need to practice a little bit before the course. So then it will make things easier for you. Apart from that, yeah, it really depends on you. I tend to deep dive into topics to a fault. Can you give some guidance on how to balance keeping up with the material and actually understanding the tools? What works for me is focusing on projects and time boxing these projects. So let's say I want to learn, I don't know, tool X. Then I just give myself 1 week to learn this tool and to use it. Let's say 1 week. By 1 week, I mean, like, I don't know, 10, 15 hours. And I try not to spend more than that. So then it involves doing a getting started project and then thinking what I want to achieve and trying to achieve it with this tool. Right? And then perhaps once you learn the tool a bit, you can use it in the next project when you learn another tool. Why? Right? So let's say you want to learn, I don't know, I wanted to say Airflow, but like, let's say you want to learn Mage, right? So then you do a small project about Mage. And then you want to learn about, I don't know, Google Cloud Storage. Then you can continue using Mage in the next project and then see how you can interact with Google Cloud Storage. And then you kind of build on top of what you have and then learning tools you already know a little bit and then learning new tools too. So then this way you focus only on getting things done, not in learning how the tool works, etc. You only go deep when you have some problems, right? Otherwise, you just try to focus on solving the problem. It helps me personally. And then at the end, also the benefit of this approach is you have kind of a product, your portfolio, right? Which you can use to show how cool you are. And yeah, that's another reason we have projects. So following content might be easy, but then when you see like all these tools and you need to figure out how to connect all of them now on your own, it's tricky, right? And then when you do the project, you will really learn how to do that. And try to not spend too much time on the project because there is always room for improvement. Like no matter how much time you spend on the project, you can improve more, but try to time box it to, I don't know, 15, 20 hours, depending on how comfortable you are with programming, and then try not to spend too much time. Do we need to buy anything? No? I mean, you can, but you don't have to. How does 1 week look like? How many times a week do we have lectures? At what time? Like all the videos are pre-recorded. I showed you this page, right? So you just go there, module 1, go to module 1 and follow this thing, right? And just watch all the videos. So there is no live videos. Oh, there are live videos, but like when it comes to the content of the modules, everything is pre-recorded. So yeah, and then there will be some live events. I mentioned already, they happen at a specific time, but everything is recorded, everything stays on the channel. So then you can, like, let's say you live in Australia and it's simply too late for you to watch the videos, the live videos, right? So then you just wake up, you have your cup of tea or coffee, and you watch a stream that already happened. It's not a problem. Why are there 2 project evaluations? Will we be doing 2 projects? Yeah, so in order to graduate from the course, you need to complete a project. So we don't, so for all these things like modules 1 through 6, we teach you how to use. We'll teach you about concepts, we show how to use tools, but the only thing that matters for graduating is completing the project. So this thing, the project. And you need to, so in order to get a certificate, you need to complete a project, and it doesn't matter if you did any of the homeworks or not. You need to pass the project. And sometimes life happens and you get sick during the project week, right? And then if it happens, or I don't know, you have an important exam or something else, like you have a lot of things to do at work. So something happens and you cannot deliver a project. And we have this course once a year, right? So it means that if you don't find time to complete the project, it would mean that you would need to wait for 1 year in order to get the certificate. That's why we have 2 attempts, right? So if you get sick, then you recover, and then you have another attempt to do the project, right? Or if you fail the project, then you have another attempt to retake the project. So that's why there are 2 attempts. But actually, it's just one project, right? 2 attempts for one project. You choose to go with attempt 1 or attempt 2. Or you can maybe start working on the project right now and submit it as attempt 1, as attempt 2, like up to you, right? So there are 2 attempts. You have 2 chances to pass a project, but you need to pass it only once. There were people who did 2 projects because they wanted. So if you want to do 2 projects, by all means, you can do 2 projects. But if you're a mere mortal who has life, family, other duties, you probably have limited time. You will not be able to do 2 projects, right? So then doing only one is enough. But if you're very enthusiastic, if you have free time, then by all means, you can make 3, 4, 5 projects. Is all the content of the 2024 course version already available? No, we're still working on the Mage content, and the workshops that I mentioned, they will happen live, so the content is not available yet too. Yeah, I'm kind of tired. Okay, let's see what we have next. I don't think we will be able to cover 77 questions, but I'll try. When it comes to setting the environment, should we prepare it beforehand, or we are going to get through it together in the course first classes? The idea is that we go through that in the module 1, but as I mentioned, the module 1 turned out to be pretty tough. We will actually have 2 weeks for module 1 because it was the toughest. So ideally, the more you prepare beforehand, the easier it will be for you when the course starts. So try to set up to prepare the environment as much as possible, which means like the easiest way to do this is go through the video I mentioned about preparing the virtual machine. But yeah, like if you feel comfortable, you already have Docker installed on your computer, you have Linux, not Windows, then you shouldn't worry, and you can set up everything on week 1. And I think if you have Linux, you're probably already an experienced user, so for you it shouldn't be a problem. But if you have Windows, if you don't have Docker, if you never use terminal, the list goes on. I would strongly suggest to check the week number 1 right now and prepare the environment and already start watching some of the videos. Is there a channel through which we can make donations to the course? Thank you for the question. Yes, there is. And so I will go to my GitHub. So this is my GitHub page, github.com/my first last name. And there is this link, support me on GitHub. So this is how you can support me personally. And you can select how much you want to donate. So even like if you donate $5, it's already good. I can go buy a coffee with a cake and celebrate the donation. But there is another way. So I think at the end there's my email. So there's my email. So if you work at a company and you have training budget, and you want to use this training budget to say thanks to the community, you can use that. So if you contact me, like it doesn't matter what the sum is, like it's up to you to select like how much you want to spend, and then we can give you the invoice, and then your company will pay us, right? So yeah, it's possible. We have done that. And if you want to use the money of your employer to say thanks to us, by all means, please do that. Otherwise, if you just want to donate $5, $10, yeah, there is this, you can do it through GitHub. Yeah, just these 2 approaches. Or you can buy me lunch if you're in Berlin. Will there be a link to each session indicating exactly the steps we should follow? Because there are old versions of the course, it can be confusing. I mean, just go through the content. Like if it's confusing, go in Slack and ask. But I think if you just sit there, go through the GitHub page, it's kind of self-explanatory, I think. I might be wrong because like I'm biased, but just try to do that. Right? So just open this page and go through these links. And if something is not clear, just try to read that. And if something is not clear, please ask in Slack and check the FAQ document. And we will always be happy to help you. So yeah, I think this is exactly the steps you should follow. But again, if you're lost, don't hesitate to reach out. Can a manager non-IT platform people learn this course? Yeah, of course. Like if you have the prerequisites, you can take it. If you don't, there's still time to catch up with some of the things. If it's the first time you program, if you have never seen a terminal and you're not good at problem solving things through Google, then it will be super tough. But if you have some ideas, or like if you know what these things mean that I talked about, perhaps you can catch up with some of them over this month and then join the course. And again, like maybe some things are difficult for you, it's fine. The course content is always available. Like you don't have to do it with the cohort. You can do it at your own pace. And if your pace is 3 weeks, 4 weeks for a module, it's fine. You can take your time. Like because all the content is there, it's available. Just take your time to learn from this. What should we consider when choosing a capstone project idea? Oof. I don't know, just find a data set you like on the internet, and that's it. You can also check the other projects. And then there is this amazing Streamlit app. Let me show you. So if you go to project, there is this project gallery. So check it out. So you will see when it loads, you can select data engineering Zoomcamp. Does it already work? I think I need to do that. And yeah, you can see the projects. And you can get a lot of inspirations from past projects. Right? So you can already get some. Wow, such an amazing project. Anyways, yeah, well, like sometimes when you see these projects, you see like, oh, they are so cool. There is no way I can possibly do that. Don't get discouraged. Some people have more time than you, and they are willing to invest more time. It's fine. Like sometimes I look at these projects and they're really awesome. But then it turns out that the person maybe spent 50, 60 hours on the project. Of course, it's amazing. But yeah, for project ideas, check the data sets. And actually, one more thing. We have... go back, please. So what we have is also this file datasets.mv. So there are links to many different datasets. So check them out for inspirations, and check out the past projects. I hope I answered that question, because I wasn't sure if your question was like, where do we get ideas from, or what we should consider. Also, I think there is some sort of FAQ here. Probably FAQ is in the FAQ document, right? But basically go through this document README file, and I think it will be hopefully more or less clear what you need to deliver. And if it's not, check the FAQ and ask in Slack. And also, let's say you ask about something in Slack and then you get help. What would also help us a lot if you go back to this document and you send a PR, a pull request to this document. So then the description becomes easier. Right? If you have a question about some things or some things are not clear, just go back and send us a pull request with the clarifications of the things that weren't clear. Because it's on GitHub, it's kind of open source and everyone can contribute. And you can see that a lot of people contributed. So you can be one of these people too. Like we're always super, super happy to receive contributions. How much would it cost to run the stack for the course in GCP if it had no credits? Less than 100, I think. $50 maybe. I don't know. So yeah, maybe ask in Slack. I think past students will jump in and say how much it costs. I wouldn't expect like you will not need to sell your kidney to run it. In the deadline calendar, you mentioned project evaluation deadlines. Will you be reviewing our projects during this time? No. So you will review each other. So we will have a peer reviewing process where you will need to evaluate 3 of your peers. And the criteria for that are here. So here are the evaluation criteria. So you look at the project and you check the README. And in this README, if the problem is described, it's well described and it's clear what the problem the project solves, you give 2 points. You get an idea. You just follow through these criteria and then you evaluate. Yeah, that's the idea. So you can look at this as an opportunity to learn from other projects, and you would be surprised how much you can actually learn from other projects. They're weekly assignments. So there is no project work weekly. Oh, kind of is, but it's more like homework. So in the module, we show a tool, and then in the homework, you need to apply this tool. And we do it through Google Forms. So we ask, okay, take this file, process it, apply certain filtering, apply certain transformations, and I don't know, what is the result you have, and you need to select the results you have. And then, so it's kind of semi-automatic. You submit it automated. You submit it through a form, Google form, and then we evaluate this form, and then you get points for each correct answer. How do you see the data engineering market in the next years? Will it grow? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. And I see that just from this course. So we have 3 courses in this community. We have machine learning engineering course, we have a MLOps course, and we have data engineering course. So when it comes to promoting, let's say, a MLOps course, it's very difficult. So there is a lot of competition, and it's hard to get people to take the course. But for data engineering, it just promotes itself because the demand for data engineering skills, it's so big. There are not so many resources. So people just come to this course. So I see that the interest to this data engineering course is only growing. And like we talk about, so you hear all this hype about LLMs, about like other things, but somebody needs to make sure that these things run, right? So then you have so what I'm trying to say is like there is a lot of groundwork that needs to happen for all this AI and other stuff you hear on the internet, and this work is typically done by data engineers. And maybe it's less fancy, right? But somebody always needs to do that. Tools might change in the next 5 years, but the concept will still be there. Somebody will still need to do that. And so I see that the data engineering market will only grow in the next years. I had difficulty following the course last time, as I didn't know if I was attending this year course or what. It's not a question, it's a statement, right? Okay. You can ask for help in Slack. How does a week of the course look like? How many times a week do we have lectures? And I answered that question, I think. Do I have enough knowledge to start applying for jobs? Like I have a feeling of deja vu. Weird. Will this be recorded? Can we watch it again? It is recorded. You can watch it again. All the content, I answered that. I have a solid background in SQL Server developments too that help me in getting started easily. Yeah, it certainly helps. What's the timeline of the bootcamp and how many hours of material per week? Like, no, not more than 2 hours, I think. One from 1 to 2 hours of materials, but then you need to do a lot of work yourself. So sometimes it can be up to 20 hours. Also depends on your background, how many prerequisites you do, your experience. So for some people, it could be just 1 hour. They don't even need to follow the lectures to do the homework, right? And then like if they don't know something, they just Google and find the solution. But for some, it's like rewatching the videos multiple times, and then checking other sources and then doing that, which can end up in 20 hours per week. As for the timeline, so we have this document I showed you. It's in the cohort folder. Just roughly, it will get updated. We'll have workshops here too. So it will shift slightly, but I expect that by May we will be done, because in May another course starts and we need to finish it by May. Would having DevOps skills or some knowledge of cloud infrastructure be an advantage for a data engineer? Most certainly, yes. And we actually talk about some of these things. So I think Terraform, I don't know if Terraform counts as a DevOps skill or not. Maybe DevOps people will tell me that I'm wrong. I think it counts as DevOps. So yeah, definitely. And then like we don't talk about that, but like you have things like CI/CD, tests, all that, automatic deployment. It's all useful for data engineers, because data engineers are software engineers, and all software engineers need to have some basic knowledge of these things to be successful software engineers, in my opinion. For the project, you will also cover calculating the time complexity of the pipeline and discuss possible improvement areas to optimize it. No, but like if you know how to do that, like feel free to do that. I need an example to understand what you mean. How many projects do we need to submit for the certificate? 1. This year, please put more content on this Zoomcamp, which is used in the data engineering field. Yeah, we will do that. Do you think this is a good stepping stone for MLOps? Also, will the MLOps course run in the spring? I think I just answered the second part. We want to finish it by May, because in May, MLOps course starts. I do not think that this is a good stepping stone for MLOps. So these are kind of two quite different fields with some intersection, with a bit of intersection, but the goal for data engineers and the goal for machine learning engineers. So they work on different problems, right? So for ML engineers, oftentimes it's useful to know some data engineering, but for data engineers, it's not always useful to know some machine learning, right? It depends on what exactly data engineers work on. Yeah, so focus is different for them. So if you want to do MLOps, I think that the skills you will pick up in this course, they will be super helpful regardless of what you do, because you will need to work with data. I'm pretty sure, like even if you plan to work as a software engineer, you will need to work with data, and you will need to be able to build data pipelines, right? So it's useful. What level of expertise with Terraform is required? 0. Like we teach Terraform, we don't expect you to know it. Can you give a brief explanation of the course flow and the tech stack that is going to be used? Yeah. So the flow is from top to bottom. You just like take module 1, then module 2, then module 3, and so on. Yeah, so like we used to have, let me find, maybe like we have an image here. No, I need to, we have a new image. We just didn't put it here yet. So let me take a look at the question again, the tech stack. So I will just, I'll use that picture. So we have a newer one. So this one still has prefect. So the tech stack we'll use, so as I said, we use GCP for cloud, like for cloud things. I see that we're actually over time, so maybe I'll answer one or more questions and we should wrap up. Anyways, where was I? So we use GCP, and with GCP we use Google BigQuery as a data warehousing and Google Cloud Storage as the data lake. In order to process data, we use Python and Prefect. So Prefect used to use Prefect. So Prefect was the orchestrator. In this edition, instead of Prefect, we will use Mage. The concept is the same, tool is different. We will also see how to use data load tool for loading some data to a data warehouse, Google BigQuery. Then once the data is in a data warehouse or a data lake, we will see how to transform this data. And for that, we will use two tools. One is Spark. So Spark is mainly used when you want to load data from a data lake, process it, and put it somewhere, data warehouse, or again back to data lake. And we will use dbt for processing data, typically already stored in a data warehouse, processing it, transforming it somehow, and putting it back to data warehouse. And then finally, as the last thing, we'll talk about streaming. So we'll cover Kafka and like Spark and dbt. They are so-called batch tools because you take a look at the, let's say, entire day of data and you process it in one go. Right? And with Kafka, you process the data as it arrives. Right? So I hope it roughly answers the question. What about Spark, Hadoop, and big data technologies? We use Spark. We don't use Hadoop and big data. Yes. Do I have to join all the streaming sessions? No. Can I use a local VM with Windows? Yes. Can I install all the tech stuff required? Yes. I answered that. Without any experience, no, but I assume you have some experience, like you can use a computer. You probably, I don't know, depends on what you mean by experience. I think questions are getting, like it's being repeated. I think it's all we have time for today. And like I did, my throat is getting tired of speaking. So I think for now we'll stop. And we'll have another round with answering all these questions when we launch the course. So here, I just wanted to already give you some answers to the course, which we will start in 1 month, and we will continue with all these questions when we begin. So for now, maybe the main takeaway for this is check the week 1, the module 1, and see how difficult it is for you. So you might want to, like if it's difficult, you might want to start with the content already. We don't have the homework yet, but at the time we actually start the course, you should be able at least go through, like solve all the problems, installing Docker and things like that, like setting up Google Cloud. So if you have time now, try to do it now. If you're not, and if you feel comfortable with all that, it's fine. We actually wanted to do it during the first week. And yeah, that's all. So yeah, what I see a comment from Michael. Hope to see everyone in Slack soon. So please do not forget to join our Slack. And see you soon. And it's a holiday season soon. So no matter in which part of the world you are right now, I'm sure that soon you will have some holidays. So please enjoy them and come back rested and relaxed to learn for some awesome data engineering content. So